Hello, this is Workbench episode number 16. I'm Seth Werkheiser, along with Bill Meis, two people who work in music and love technology, sharing our nerdy knowledge to help make your work easier and more manageable. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Seth W.
Here we are.
Episode 16. Wow.
We are at it.
How you doing, man? How's your week?
The week just getting started. Spring has sprung.
How was your weekend? How about that?
Weekend. That was quiet and nothing going on, just the way I like it.
You didn't buy any musical instruments this time?
Was that this weekend? No, that was last weekend.
Right.
No. But today I did take my bicycle to the bike shop.
Yeah, I got your Snapchat. What are you doing over there?
Yeah, well, the bike I bought when I was in Philadelphia, I bought it used. It's a bit of a sleek, aggressive bike. It's very downward, and I like hunched over, and that's not really me anymore. I'm kind of like, I want to take it nice and slow and do. So that's what I did. I went there and I got they're putting on a taller stem and wider bars and stuff like that. I am stoked.
So that was like more of a 2005 Seth W, not so much a 2015 Seth W.
2005. Yeah, I that was a year after I moved to New York City. I was angry biker Seth in New York City. I would yell and curse at people. I would slam my hand on the trunks of taxis for cutting me off.
I'm walking here. Yeah, I remember that, dude. I remember you were exactly that, an angry fixed gear bike guy.
I had everything but the fixed gear, but yes.
All right, you were a single speed guy.
I was single speed aggro guy. Get out of my way.
All right.
That was me.
Yeah, well, I chopped down a tree this weekend.
I saw that. I saw your images of a chipper, a wood chipper.
A wood chipper, an axe, a chainsaw, some elbow grease, and a long afternoon, and some sheer willpower is enough to get that down.
Yeah, that sounds good. It sounds productive.
It was. I was actually surprised how fast it came down. But I guess with a chainsaw, anything's possible.
Sure, modern machinery.
Yeah. And then, did a whole bunch of stuff with the family, went to a baseball game.
Oh, yeah.
Had some tacos, had some margaritas,
Nice.
Summertime.
Very adult things.
Yeah.
It's good for you.
So, we're talking about burnout for this episode.
Oh, we are talking about burnout.
Which could not be more appropriate, honestly. Because I experience this all the time.
Yes.
And what's burnout to you? Let's start there.
I remember burnout being Sunday nights doing BuzzGrinder and dreading it. Like, because I would write my content the night before and schedule it for the next day. Sunday nights was like, oh, I have to do this again. And I didn't enjoy that. That was burnout for me.
Right. I did a little bit of poking around online to see, to see where burnout was popping up into the conversation. And it's everywhere, man. It really is. I mean, I remember reading about it years ago, but I feel like it's more prevalent now than ever, both in people experiencing burnout and people talking about burnout.
Yeah. Definitely. You retweeted it from Annie Zaleski.
Mm-hmm.
Know so many bloggers who've slowed down, if not stopped altogether, due to the intense pace, just not sustainable. And I think that last word, sustainable, is so true.
Why don't you dig into that, though? Because that's a really interesting point that I kind of want to expand on. In that writers today, the demand on a writer or a journalist, on the web,
sure,
is so much more greater now than it was even 5 years ago, let alone 10.
Yes.
So how did you first start noticing that, like, years ago, when the content was just in such an uptick of a demand as far as output?
For me, I discovered it. I discovered why we did it, and it was because of search engine traffic. I discovered it because I knew if I took a press release about some band I didn't care about and it was tour dates, I knew that if I put it up, someone would be searching for it and it would drive traffic to my site, which would make me money. So that was like, oh, great. You know, like, who doesn't like traffic? Who doesn't like money? I want to do this for a living. And then it becomes, well, 6 posts a day is great. I bet 12 is good. How about 15? We should do 19. And I remember at a time with BuzzGrinder, we were posting every hour on the hour. We had volunteer writers that, you know, okay, I'll take 9 o'clock. I'll take 11 o'clock. Cool, I'll put this up at 2. And it was like a tour dates post.
Right.
It's just like, eventually it became, and that's what led to the Sunday night slump of like, I don't care about this band and their tour dates or whatever. That for me, I mean, that was, 2006, 7.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, even moving ahead, unless you want to respond to that.
No, I mean, what I think burnout means different things to different people.
Sure.
And, you know, what burnout could mean to a 21-year-old, you know, Ruby on Rails, you know, engineer is probably very different than my definition of burnout.
Sure.
You know, having a kid at home and another one on the way, you know, having a commute, you know, maybe a little further along in their career than some people coming up. You know, my burnout is a little bit different and comes from different sources than, you know, that young guy or that young girl starting out. But I think the point is to actually talk about it and try to at least make people aware of it, because, you know, the worst part about burnout is that you don't realize you're experiencing it until you're already in it. Right. And by then you're you know, you have to dig yourself out rather than, you know, try not to fall in the hole.
Right.
So I kind of want to go into a few different reasons why burnout is happening.
Yeah.
And, you know, as far as blogging goes, the constant hyper demand of content is one reason.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, yeah. From the news angle, from the writing angle, it's this idea of hurry up. This is so urgent. We have to get this up. You hit publish. It's done. It's over. It's old news. It's water under the bridge. Who cares? What's the next story? So I kind of equated it back in my noise creep days with more traffic, more this, more that. It felt like, because we were doing 20 posts a day at one point, it felt like you were always in a car driving up a mountain. Your bosses were in the back seat, always like, you know, looking over your shoulder, being backseat drivers, and the mountain never ends. That's what it felt like.
Right.
That's burnout. That's I can't keep doing this. I can't keep up this pace.
Well, there's a Forbes article I was reading today, and it said the 10 signs that you might be burning out. And I'm bringing up the website now, but of course there's an ad.
the paywall ad?
No, it's like this ad will disappear in 3, 2, 1. Anyway, it's on Forbes. It's by Lisa Jerry. We'll put it in the show notes. But they go into you know, asking what is burnout and how common it is. Whatever, we already talked about that. But this is my favorite part. Left unchecked, burnout can wreak havoc on your health, happiness, relationships, and job performance. In order to catch burnout and combat it early, it's important to know what to look for. So I'll just list these off because they're pretty simple, just to lay a foundation of what we're going to talk about. But exhaustion, which is kind of an obvious one, but just feeling tired all the time. You know, whether it's emotional, mental, or physical, having no energy and just feeling spent. And I know I can relate to that. Another big one is lack of motivation, which I think everybody battles. You know, I don't care how much you love your job or how good you are at your job. You know, you're gonna have those days or those, you know, parts of days where you just don't care, man, and you just don't want to be there. Like even today, I had a point in my day today where I had to just get up and walk around because I was just in the zone for like 2 hours working on something, and you can feel your eyes starting to glaze over, and it's like, you know what, I should get up, go outside, make a phone call, get some blood flowing back to my toes. So lack of motivation is another one. Frustration, cynicism, and I put emphasis on that because it's a big one, and other negative emotions. If you work in the music business or the online news business, cynicism is almost unavoidable. But I don't know, maybe it just comes from people that have been doing it for as long as we have. But cynicism isn't a good thing. Like, I know we all struggle with it, and I know we all deal with it pretty much on a daily basis, whether it's from us or a coworker. Cynicism will get you nowhere. I know it's funny. It's fun to joke around. It's fun to have a cynical pal and complain about the same stuff. But it's a sign of burnout. It's a sign of another negative effect of what you're doing. So keep an eye. I try to keep an eye on it, because left unchecked, it can really start to eat away at your core. Oh yeah,
I know. Yeah, tons of colleagues that every conversation could easily become a whirlpool of just, what's the point? So yeah, totally. Well, I a lot of times I recognize that and be like, okay, what are we working on now?
Right. I notice it a lot sometimes, and the point is, if you actually are putting effort into noticing it in yourself, you'll notice it in others, which will then help you notice it in yourself even more. Yeah. And then you can, not point people out and say, you're being cynical, but more like, recognizing it and then steering the conversation in a different direction, like you said. But another one is cognitive problems. And, that meaning, when you're stressed, your attention narrows your focus so far to where you can't concentrate on anything. But stress becomes chronic, and burnout becomes chronic, and the narrow focus continues for a while, and then it takes a while to get back to where you left off, and then you have difficulty paying attention to other things. So, burning out it's that burning out your brain, and you get this fight or flight tunnel vision that can negatively affect your ability to solve problems and make decisions. So,
1,000%. Holy moly. Right. You got your head down, and the music up and this and that, and you're focusing on something so hard. Good ideas don't flow from that.
No, and that's why I wanted to take time and talk about this, because burnout will just zap your creativity to the point where you're not even outputting anything productive. You're just pushing paper or sharpening pencils. Right.
There's so many times with just these things I do online, whether it's Skull Toaster, how do I grow that, or some email marketing stuff I'm working on, how do I get better results, this and that. Rarely does it come by, let me spend another 30 minutes online clicking around. It almost feels like counterproductive. No, I should do that. Let me read this next article. Let me download a PDF about better open rates. No. Just close the laptop and go for a freaking walk. And that doesn't mean go for a walk and stare at your phone the whole time. Freaking let your phone die. And I don't know, 15 minutes isn't the end of the world,
Yeah, and that speaks to a bigger discussion of just, technology being both a blessing and a curse. Sure. And I was actually reading a thing by David Allen, which I'll mention later, who's the author of Getting Things Done. And he said, having, whether it's a blessing or a curse, like having all this technology and all these input sources at our fingertips, if you know what you're doing, it's a great time to be alive. But if not, you're screwed. Yeah. So much input, so much coming at you all the time. But to keep going down on these signs of burning out is job performance slippage. And that's an obvious one. If you're burning out, the quality of work you're doing is not going to be there. Interpersonal problems at home and work. It gets a little deeper as the article goes down, but sure, if you're having conflicts with other people, such as getting into arguments or withdraw or just being cynical again, you might be burned out.
Right.
Not taking care of yourself,
Yep.
Too much smoking, too much eating, too much drinking, not getting enough sleep.
Right.
Even if it's not, skipping a day of meditation, because you're too tired from working.
Right.
That's there to make yourself better, and burning yourself out will just make yourself worse. But self-medicating does not work. I've tried it.
Dude, I have so many memories of days. I'll speak candidly at doing noise creep, man. I would work, be in the office 12, 13 hours, walk home, literally walk like 4 miles home from Manhattan into Brooklyn, and stop at a Walgreens, get a pint of ice cream, and go home and watch the Mets. Like, that's just beating yourself up.
Yeah. Especially
the Mets part. So.
Yeah, that's... I don't know. Why would you do that? Maybe it was 2006 when they were playing well, but whatever.
No, it was 2009-10. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
the opposite of good.
Bad times.
But being preoccupied... This one gets me, man. Being preoccupied with work when you're not at work.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's not one person that's listening to this that hasn't, stayed connected through dinner, or checked their phone in the bathroom at the restaurant, or in the car on the way home. Like,
got a text from a coworker about something.
Right.
Ugh.
Will it completely zap you completely? No. But if it's another pebble in the box of rocks, or if it's the straw that's going to break the camel's back, then yeah, it is a problem. And that's one that you can try easily, I think, and I struggle with that every day. Leave the phone on the kitchen counter when you're in the other room having dinner.
Sure.
Or maybe plug your phone in the kitchen rather than next to your bed at night.
Oh.
Just those simple little changes can go a long way. And folks, especially if you're married, and being present, with your partner, it goes a long way. Look, when two adults are sitting in the same space staring at their smartphones,
holy moly,
it can get awkward
so
really
much.
fast. I live it, man. It's it's something we all struggle with.
Yeah, totally.
And that's the whole point about talking about it, to try to not do it as much.
Right.
But being unsatisfied with your work, having other health problems because of it, all these are signs of burnout. So if you're experiencing any of these because of work, then maybe you're burnt out. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a burnout test I'll put in the show notes.
Ooh.
Where you can take a test online from mindtools.com.
Nice.
And as if you need a test to figure out if you're burnt out.
I took a test, and
there's one available.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a much bigger problem than you might think. Like when I was poking around, I found a whole bunch of stuff from the Mayo Clinic of how to lead a healthy lifestyle and avoid burnout. Like, I've always been aware of it, but I feel like it's much bigger than I thought it was. Like, if there are white papers out there dedicated for HR executives to spread the word to their workers on how not to burn out, maybe it's worse than we thought.
Right. But I mean, it's part of the reason some workplaces have work retreats, or just forced interactions and stuff like that. There's smaller companies out there that have cafeterias that encourage people to get together and just talk and converse, and companies that try to do other positive things to keep people engaged and not focus solely on the job all the time.
Yeah, I guess that's where the cliche Silicon Valley working environment comes from. With
the ping-pong table is the ultimate example.
Yeah.
What's that? It's stupid. But we're a pinball arcade games, this, that, yeah, but it's good. Go play Miss Pac-Man for 30 minutes and then get back to work. Oh, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, and it's funny, you always read the article or see the news segment on, Facebook having beanbag chairs and ice cream in the middle of the room, whatever. But you never hear about it being that big of a problem.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, they have segways, and you can, instead of taking the elevator, you can take this cool fire pole. But it's never like, oh, he was fired because he used the fire pole too much. Like you never hear about that. At least I haven't. So, but I mean, there's something to be said there. But it's interesting. I actually went to Wikipedia I typed in burnout just to see what I would find.
Did you find a Sega Genesis game?
I did not.
Oh, that's a game, I think, Burnout.
Oh, is it?
I think so, yeah.
But what I found interesting was that, Wikipedia said, and it must be true because it's on Wikipedia.
Hey, if it's cited, it can be true.
Yeah. Well, we'll put that in the show notes too, but it said a growing body of evidence, whatever that is, suggests that burnout is clinically similar to depression.
Oh.
And if you think back to the list of signs of burnout, it's not too far off.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what burnout is. Those are a few signs of burnout. But what can we do to avoid it? Or if we're already burnt out, what can we do to prevent getting burned out the next time? Mm-hmm. No, I'm asking you.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, what can we do?
Quit. No, I'm kidding. Get rid of all your stuff and ride your bike to the next city. No. Not everyone can do that.
I guess that's what you did, so...
I did, but that was a means to figure out. I hate the phrase, but it was just like, I'm gonna find myself. But I mean, honestly, it was like, wow, I learned so much of what I don't freaking want to do. So,
well, you were burnt out.
I was so burnt out.
Let's not mince words here, buddy. You were burnt out.
Dude, my last year. I was so burnt out, like I resented the musical genre that I was supposed to be covering. I resented metal. I didn't keep up on any of it. I just kept listening to old Dillinger Escape Plan and Coalesce and Botch. Hey Seth, did you hear that? No, I didn't hear it. Okay, fine. Well, I had an interview with a pretty big company, and I got to the second interview with this notable company. Woohoo! And they asked me, so, what's your top 10 for this year? Couldn't answer. I couldn't even name 5 albums that year I liked because I was so burnt out. It affected my enjoyment in my field, and obviously I didn't get the job. So, oops. Yeah, so I was pretty burnt out.
And you took steps to get yourself out of the hole.
Well, I totally did, yeah.
And for you, that meant getting on your bike and riding... halfway to China and back.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And did it work?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really, one of the biggest things I found, and I mean, mostly it's like I do a lot of freelance work, but I mean, and I read this a lot from people that put up those tips for freelance working, is boundaries. Is just a simple one is like that email at 7:00 at night. Yeah. Reply to that the next day. Don't get in the habit of replying to emails like that 12 seconds after they come in, because then you just teach the person that emailed you, oh, I'm available around the clock, and that's a sure way to get burnt out, is because now you're constantly answering emails at night.
Right. Well, I think there's an unwritten law of expectation, especially among Spitfire younger workers, that's what's expected.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to take to get ahead. And in some cases, it's true. But in the long run, it's not sustainable.
Yes, because I super duper feel that, yes, and I this is no disrespect to the younger crew coming up. You're great. You're awesome. Seriously, like, we need you. But like the idea that this younger crowd coming up, great, yeah, I can work 16 hours a day. I'll answer my email at 2 a.m. You're going to burn out in a year and a half. You're going to quit the industry, and then you're going to run off and do something else.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you can't be a go-getter.
Right.
In fact, you have to be a go-getter. Yes. But at what cost? I mean,
yes.
if you're going to burn out in a year, how much creativity are you going to sacrifice to do that? Or how much good work, how much crucial work
right.
are you going to, have to miss out on?
Right.
Because you're burned out.
And how much does your industry, like, you worked all this time to break in this and that. You're in, you got your foot in the door. You've just gave every single thing you've got. You burnt out, you crashed and burned, and that doesn't do anyone any good.
Right. Like, there's a company called Appify. It's a Virginia software company, and their executives were noticing that a burnout was a problem for a few years. So the executives reconfigured a few things, and they said, well, you can take as many paid days off as you want. Initially, a lot of the employees were very skeptical.
Sure.
Basically taking that as, well, unlimited time off means I get no time off, right? It's like, no, well, that didn't happen. No one abused the policy, as it turned out.
Yeah.
A handful of employees took like sabbaticals, and some of them went around the world.
Wow.
Things that might require them to quit their jobs in the past. But,
right.
But it actually kind of worked, and burnout decreased over the next 3 years.
Wow.
But this article is saying that that company is an exception.
Sure.
And on the whole, companies are cutting back on leave, according to the Society for Human Resource Management.
Ooh.
And firms today offer fewer personal days and family leave than several years ago.
Of course.
And flexibility benefits are also holding steady or declining.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why people are so burned out, is that companies are not I say they're not recognizing it after reading, dozens of news articles about it today on how it is being recognized. But if firms today offer fewer personal days and family leave, then maybe it's not being recognized enough.
Right. Right. And even if it's not in the office, even if it's not freelance, there's people that do creative endeavors and get burnt out on them as well. Mm-hmm. Whether it's art, photography, writing, so many writers just, throw in the towel. Again, creative people, musicians, do it, and they just burn out on it.
Right. And it's all well and good. You want to burn them in that oil, but if it's preventing you from doing your best work, then it's not worth it.
Right.
But I don't know about you, man, but back in the day when I was first starting, I wore my workaholic, and I'm a workaholic. I can admit that now.
Yeah.
But I wore it as a badge of honor.
Of course.
I thought it was cool. And that's a very typical thing these days, is people, bragging about how busy they are.
Yeah. How are you doing? Busy.
Yeah, busy, man. I got so much going on. Which, if you really think about it, it doesn't take a lot to be busy these days. It really doesn't.
True.
It's like, I got a Twitter feed to read. I got 600 emails. Inbox 0. Here I come.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is just my own thing where I've worked myself through this over the last number of years, but I feel like it's not as much of a badge of honor anymore.
Yeah.
At least I hope it isn't. I don't know. I don't see it as much as I used to.
Right. Yeah, the whole busy thing. It's so easy to be busy, but time is valuable. Downtime, time. Everyone's got 24 hours. And if you have zero downtime, you need some downtime.
Right. And this is a good point to remind people of Parkinson's law. You've heard of that, right?
Yes.
Where, and that law, and if you haven't heard of that, look it up. It's one that you'll never forget. Mm-hmm. Parkinson's law is the adage that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion.
Absolutely.
And the greatest example I've always heard is that if you're leaving for vacation on a Friday, Friday's your last day, you're off for the next week, you'll get more done on that Friday than you will in the previous 4 days, because you're not going to be around next week.
Yep.
And you're you're filling the time allotted with the work that needs to get done. But the thing is that's true no matter if you're going on vacation or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have 3 hours to work on something, it's going to take you 3 hours to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. If a big part for my workflow these days is just using Trello as my daily to-do list, and to move things from a doing to a done column. The idea then too of like, oh, well, it's 8 a.m. I have till midnight to get all this done. No, like I put due dates on them and stuff. Like, no, I want this done. Yes, this stuff could take all day. No, I'm going to have this done by 2. Like, totally.
Have you messed around with time blocking at all?
No, I haven't.
I used to do it pretty heavily, but I've fallen off the wagon. But it's just a very simple concept of like, from 11 to 12, I check email. From 1 to 3, I work on this project with a 15-minute break. And I liked it because it's super structured, but it's so easy to get derailed.
Of course, yeah.
With distractions and things coming out of nowhere.
There's always something to blink or a notification. Like, there's always something. And it was like what you said the other day, or wrote it, like, what is it? You don't go to a kitchen, or no?
Oh yeah, it was about checking email first thing in the morning.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because when you're checking email, your inbox is filled with nothing but problems that need solutions.
Right.
And it's kind of a concept more than a rule, but checking email first thing in the morning is like a chef walking into a kitchen looking for a dirty dish to scrub.
Oh, totally.
Whereas if you're a chef in your kitchen, like the whole process a chef has, when he walks into a kitchen, he sets up his station, he makes sure he has all his ingredients, that his tools are clean and everything is in order. He has all the supplies. And I totally forget where I read this, but they were making the point that that's how you should approach your work day.
Yeah.
Not wake up in the morning looking for the first fire to put out.
Right.
But instead take a little bit of time, whether it's 10 minutes or an hour, and plan out your ingredients, measure everything, make sure that you have everything in front of you that you're going to need to put out those fires.
Yep.
Because if not, it's just going to be a day of never-ending fires, which I know people can relate to.
Yeah, I do that the night before. I mean, then I never want to go into the next day. Well, what's on my to-do list? No way. Like, my whole day is planned out for tomorrow already. Like, I know exactly what's going on.
Right, and
and I know first thing when I get started, here's 2 things I'm going to do before I check my email.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's a good segue into the final segment of this topic is what can you do to prevent it? What can you do to stop it? And on that same Wikipedia page, it said one study suggests that social cognitive processes such as commitment to work, self-efficiency, learned resourcefulness, and hope may insulate individuals from experiencing occupational burnout. And what I took away from that was self-efficiency and learned resourcefulness. If you're taking any steps to make yourself a better person and using your time more efficiently, which is really just a fancy way of saying, upping your productivity.
Sure.
The point is just doing a few little productivity, fixes.
Sure.
Can decrease the chances of you burning out tenfold.
Yeah.
For example, if you use a task management system, if you use email rules, if you use email tags and folders, or if you use Evernote or OmniFocus, or you're a follower of David Allen's Getting Things Done, like I am, any one of those, is just you taking preventative measures to not be burned out.
Right. It totally is. even just the simple writing the things down that you need to do in a day is so much better than leaving it bouncing around your head all day.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you have to, subscribe to GTD Connect.
No.
Buy $200 worth of software and rethink your whole experience. No. All you have to do is just do one thing. Whether that one thing is sitting down for 5 minutes the night before saying, okay, what are my 3 biggest priorities for tomorrow?
I have to do this, yeah.
3 things. I could do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then one in the evening. 3 things. Even by taking those few minutes and planning out a little bit the day before, you're decreasing your chances of getting burned
Tim
out.
Ferriss wrote about that in 4-Hour Workweek too, was like, say your doctor said, look, you can only work 3 hours a day. You're going to find out quick what those most important things are that you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to maximize every available minute and brain thought horsepower in your skull to get that done. And you don't have to wait for a major medical crisis to start that. You could do that now. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you only work 3 hours a day, but look, I'm going to make my mornings more efficient. It's a great way to get started.
Yeah, and don't check email.
Yes. Yeah. Seriously, my big thing too lately is I'll find myself because it's real, and we talked about this recently, was how do you get your news? Twitter. Look, Twitter is just this, could be this negative drain of let me just scroll through it. Let me scroll through it. No. I turn it off. I turn my phone over. I close Twitter. Get the heck out of TweetDeck. Okay, time to work.
Trying to keep up with everything on Twitter is like trying to, touch all of the water coming over Niagara Falls. It's never going to end.
No.
The water will always be there. The tweets will always be there.
Yes.
You're not going to miss anything.
I've gotten to the point, I find it really fun, even just recording these podcasts. I am focused on this podcast. I'm not checking Twitter. Twitter's not here. There's no email. Someone called me while we were in the middle of this. I turned that off. But I love the feeling of after you get done doing something for 2-3 hours, and then you're like, whoa,
the world
what happened
didn't end
in the world? And you go look at Twitter, and it's actually oh, that happened. Instead of being in it, by the second. Did you see that tweet 4 seconds ago? That's something I don't mind missing.
Exactly.
Ugh.
So, do you feel less burned out now?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Dude, it's crazy. It took a lot of biking and hiking and whatever and downgrading my iPhone and this, that, and the other. But, yeah, I'm good.
I feel like you and I are on 2 very opposite ends of the spectrum. You being a nomadic individual like you are, and me being very, very grounded.
Yeah. Proud papa.
Yeah. But we deal with I deal with burnout differently than you do, and and this is coming from me, who's writing show notes on a podcast about burnout. And I still get burned out.
Sure.
And it's really not about, and I guess that's my final thought with this, is it's not about arriving. It's not about waking up one day and saying, okay, I have it all figured out. I will never be burned out again.
Right. My goodness.
That's never going to happen.
Yeah. Seriously. Because, I left AOL Music in 2011. Here we are, 2015. I do not have it all figured out. But, I figured stuff out along the way. Yeah, it's totally a journey.
Yeah, and it's cool, especially when it comes to whatever productivity theory you subscribe to, and with mine and getting things done. I can always go back to the book and sit down and read a chapter and be like, right, okay, yeah, I forgot. I stopped doing that 2 months ago. I should probably start doing that again.
Right? Yeah, you and I talk about that. I think for myself, I didn't first get Evernote right out of the gate.
Oh, it took me a year and a half.
Yeah,
almost 2 years to get into it.
I tried OmniFocus recently again, even with you kind of holding my hand through it, and I just can't do this. But I fell into Trello, so I finally got that, and now I use it every single day. So
that's a great example of whatever works for you.
Yeah, and so anyone listening, like, my goodness, we are not saying, here it is, we figure it out, just do this, you'll achieve nirvana. It's not that. You're going to figure it out for yourself.
No, it's about bringing the conversation to the table, and just derailing a few thoughts throughout your day.
Yes.
And making you go, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't do this.
Yes.
Because that'll set off this chain of events that'll lead to burnout.
Right.
And, the irony on all this is that, the less burned out you are, the better work you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if you're constantly putting out fires and chasing your tail and pulling your hair out, man, it's not sustainable.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Well, that's great. Thanks,
yeah.
Seth. Visit us at workbenchpodcast.com for links to everything we talked about here and so much more.
And if you are subscribed to the show in iTunes, be awesome if you could leave a review. And if you're not subscribed to the show, you can do that. That'll be linked up in the show notes.
And for questions and comments, find either of us on Twitter. I'm at Bill Meis, and Seth is at Seth W. Or email us at hello@workbenchpodcast.com.
That is correct.
Hey, Seth.
Yo.
Later, buddy.
We'll do this again later.